Hello, everyone. My name is Mirna, and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, welcome to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather daily to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today, with us, Angel Ribo, CEO, consultant, TV host, international public speaker, and president of the Wisdom for Kids Foundation, is co hosting with our dear Dan Blanchard. Dan is a best selling and award winning author, speaker, and educator. Before starting with them, we want to remind you that Mindalia's mission is to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness around the world. And you can help us by subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment down this video, or sharing it with someone that you know that is going to benefit of the content that we're going to be talking here today. I'm not going to delay this any further, and I'm going to leave you with Angel, Dan, and a very special guest. Guys, welcome to Mindalia live streaming. The screen is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mirna, for the introduction. Hi, Dan. How are you? Welcome back. Hold on a second. We have to unmute you. Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, you're muted.
I unmute myself.
Okay, good. Thank you. Sorry. We couldn't hear you.
It's all good. I'm doing wonderful, Angel. Glad to be back.
Excellent. Excellent. Wonderful. So, let's go for it. We have a very special guest tonight with us. I think that you've known her for a while already, and we are really impatient in Mindalia TV to have Dede with us because we tried already once, and technology didn't allow us to do it. So it's like wanting to really interview her to show everybody her greatness. So now it's the time, Dan.
Absolutely, thank you, Angel, and Dede. Welcome to the show. Dede and I have a lot of things in common. We're educators, and we go beyond just the educational world. I actually met Dede years ago on the radio circuit. We had been on the same educational radio program a few times out in Pittsburgh. Why not? So, and I'm from Connecticut, so it's kind of funny that we actually met pretty much out there through a common friend of Neil Haley. And the moment I met Dede, I was excited about meeting such a high quality person because I could see that Dede was a great educator. So we were able to trade a lot of great stories in the educational world. But then she was out there, early mornings, late nights, weekends, holidays, summers. She was out on the circuit like I was, and we were bumping into each other, in certain venues, whether it was a radio show or whatever it might be. So I can't wait to catch up with my old buddy Dede and see what she's been up to and have her share some of the great things that she does. So why don't I just do it right now and say, Dede, welcome to Mindalia TV. Very happy to have you here. And can you share a little something with our audience about yourself, please?
Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, very well.
All right, just making sure after my debacle last week. Thank you, friends, for being so patient. Yes, my name is Dede Rittman, and I did have a wonderful, wonderful career as an educator for a mere 37 years. I would have stayed 40 or maybe even longer, but unfortunately, my husband was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer, and I had to retire in June of 2011, and he died in May of 2012. Ugh, very, very tough to leave a job that you love so much when you're not ready to leave, but I love my husband more, so that was the right thing to do. After Scott died, I was so accustomed, and Dan already knows this, to working 80 or more hours a week. I coached men's varsity golf as the head golf coach for 33 years. I directed the musical for 10. I directed the talent show for about 20. I worked with student council, and I served on so many different committees. And I took care of my mother-in-law and my father-in-law as well, and they all died in 12 weeks. And I said, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? I'm used to being busy. So I wrote my first book, which Dan has, and I thought about all the things that I taught student teachers, because so often, no matter how good the school is or the university, they don't always get that common sense part. So I wrote the book for student teachers, which has won 8 awards and is used in many universities and colleges. And then after that, I wrote my second book, a book that I always wanted to write, called Grady Gets Glasses. And it's a book for children who are about 2 to 8 years old. And Grady the rabbit, who I also had made into a toy, Grady explains both near and farsighted and care of and wearing of glasses, and that you're special because I wore glasses for 45 years, really thick glasses. I had laser vision correction. And I remember how kids teased me. So I guess now my mission is twofold. I went from teaching 10th grade English and theater to now sometimes I'm a rock star at college and sometimes I'm a rock star at elementary school. But both are really fulfilling, and I still love education.
Oh, I know you do, Dede. I know you love it a lot. And, you know, we had a lot of conversations about how you've coached golf. I coached wrestling and football. You know, you were in the music. I can't say I ever was in that. But the talent show and all that stuff. And we both did student council stuff. So, I mean, how did you know? I mean, for like the younger teachers out there, you know, me and you, we did this stuff, this extracurricular activities. You know, I remember I ran a philosophy club, a laugh out loud club. I mean, the clubs go on, and the sports field.
Right.
I mean, how did you know, for the younger teachers out there, that just doing these extracurricular activities was the right thing to do, that was going to make you a better teacher, a better human being, and help your students?
You know, Dan, that's such a good question. First of all, I got into coaching by appointment. There was a female teacher who was going to retire who had just started the girls' golf team, which I guess I started to coach that in 1978. And I was the only female golfer that played golf in the whole North Allegheny School District. So she said, I want Dede Rittman to be girls' golf coach. And the athletic director said, okay. So that was sort of the way it was. And then, being a woman in what then was truly a man's field, I was named to the Western Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic League as a golf committee member. And I really was one of the only females that ever served on that committee. And I served that for 38 years. But, you know, as you go through the season, just as when you go through the year in a classroom, but it's different. We all know that teaching is completely about relationships. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I always say that relationships are everything. Everybody who listens to me, Dee, knows. Right. I always say, I mean, don't sweat the pacing guide too much now, because if you don't build those relationships, right, even if you're on track with the pacing guide, you know, the curriculum pacing guide, if you don't build those relationships, those kids will pull you off that pacing. So you need to build that relationship first, even if you're a little behind on the curriculum pacing guide, because you'll catch up if you've got those relationships, and the kids won't be pulling you off that curriculum pacing guide.
Right.
On the classes down the hallway, you know?
It's the truth. But, you know, I just took that one step, you know, farther into saying, you know, I had girls golf, like I said, and coaching girls golf is completely different than coaching boys golf, which is what I spent most of my time doing. But, you know, really getting to know the kids, even in my classroom, I always would greet kids at the door and so on. And someone asked me today, how many kids did you send to the office in 37 years? The number is under 5, and I can name them.
Wow.
Because I had a relationship with them. And this was even though I was given some of the, quote, worst classes, you know what I'm saying? Kids that were repeating and so on. When you show the kids that you really like them and that you're there for them and you really want them to do their best and you're going to help them to do that, and you don't make a judgment. I mean, I had kids with so many big issues. We all have. But it's all about relationships. And when I started to coach golf, my handicap was probably a 14. I did get better through the years, but I didn't know everything about golf. But, you know, I learned with the kids, and I would say, I don't know that answer. I'm going to find it out. It was before the internet, and I would go through the rule book, and I would call a golf pro. But I taught things like values, because in golf, and Angel, I don't know if you play, but in golf, you learn more about a person in 18 holes than you do sitting across for a desk for them in 10 years. You learn about their temperament. You learn about how their acceptance of who they really are and how bad they can be. You learn whether or not they're cheaters. So, you know, these are lessons I taught the kids, and I would always say to them, you know, no matter where you are, people are watching you. And it was so funny. I would always say this all the time, even to the boys team. And one time when I was coaching the boys team, this would be around 2011, a man walked up to me at the golf course in front of the kids, and he said, aren't you Coach Rittman? Did you used to coach girls golf in the 1970s? And I said, yes. And he said, I watched you all the time with those kids They were so good and they were so appropriate with good manners. You really taught them a lot. I said, well, what year are you talking about? He goes, well, 1978. And this was 2011. And I said to the boys, do you see what I'm saying? Someone is always watching you. And I always would say golf and good manners can get you into places that money never will. And all those things came to fruition when I had a boy who got he got an internship at Pebble Beach, at Oakmont. Golf's a very small world here in Western Pennsylvania. So I was able to help so many kids. And I guess, Dan, that's why I loved golf and I loved the musical. I took kids who had zero musical talent and made them be part of the makeup crew because they had no friends. And then all of a sudden they had friends and they were so much happier and their grades went up and everything got better. Teachers are so powerful and I don't think that they really understand their own power.
I totally agree with you. No doubt about that, Dede. And I got to say, I mean, you know, we both have enriched our lives tremendously by being involved with extracurricular activities. And I always suggest it to young teachers. Many times they come back with, oh my gosh, I'm just so busy. You know, I don't want to do anything right now except for learn how to teach my class. And I kind of get that. And I kind of understand that. But at the same time, you know, the position may not open up in 2 years from now. This may be
right. I mean, look at the golf one. I held it for 33 years. Yeah, really. Yeah. I finally retired in 2014 from golf because my assistant, I finally got a JV team about 16 years before. He was waiting in the wings for 16 years, but I wanted to leave on top of my game, and I did. And by the way, I did get inducted into the North Allegheny Hall of Fame. So that's really exciting. That's only like 1% of coaches.
Wow, that's awesome, Dede.
But you know, Dan and Angel, I had my last year that I directed the talent show, and my husband was still alive then. He was also a performer. We were on the stage together a lot, and I chose 2 students on the autism spectrum as my co-hosts, as the MCs. And you know, I always would like to take a chance with the kids who had whatever other people call a disability. I always call it just a different ability. But the boy just graduated with his master's degree, and he is now the voice of several teams in sports. So that's really awesome. And the gal's doing great too. But I can remember Scott saying, okay, now Mrs. Rittman and I wrote these jokes for you, and you're going to count to 7. And by that time, count slowly, people will stop laughing. And I can remember the boy saying, how do you know they're going to laugh? Because, you know, kids on the spectrum, you know, they don't always understand. Yeah. And of course, he said, just trust us on this. And both the kids did so great. It was one of the best talent shows I ever had. And these were kids with disabilities, you know?
Yeah. And that's so awesome, Dede. And Angel, I know that you two have an interest in kids with disability and special education. So I'm so happy that you have such a great story on that, because more of us should have great stories like that. Right. And I think, Angel, you wanted to say something about that, I believe.
No, yeah. What I wanted to ask Dede, you know, how do you start for all those young teachers, or even for the parents that, you know, sometimes they feel that their kids are not heard in the classroom, but what's the right way to start a season, to start, you know, a term from a teacher's perspective, to start building a strong relationship with the kids? How do you start? What's the first step?
For me, it was always, I told them my name and I told them a little bit about myself personally. And I would always say, this isn't my class, this is our class. And I would say that everyone here has something to offer to teach to everyone else here. I'll tell you another story and then you'll understand me completely. I created the Introduction to Theater class along with some colleagues back in 1993. It was a semester class. And in some ways, I don't like this term, but it became a dumping ground for kids with special needs because they didn't have that many options for taking electives. But I worked with great paraprofessionals and created different materials for them, but they still got all the concepts. But in this one particular class, I had 15 gifted, which means IQ of above 130. And I had 3 kids with pretty profound Downs and other disabilities. And I gave my opening speech about everyone here is going to learn from everyone here because everyone is important and everyone has something to offer. And I said, we'll be doing lots of projects, but I don't want you to limit yourself to your friends. I want you to reach out and learn to get to know the other kids. Well, those 15 took that so seriously that sometimes my kids with the special needs were doing 4 times the amount of work they had to because all the other kids wanted to work with them.
Wow.
And I ended up calling all 18 of those parents. And I'm not embarrassed to say this, it makes me want to cry now, crying with them on the phone about how wonderful their children were. And that they really understood that everyone has something to offer. And one young man in particular really reached out to the boy that had the disability. And when he applied to Boston College, I wrote his letter of recommendation, which was lengthy, and I included this. Of course, he got right in. Of course, now he's a television personality, but I never forgot, and that's really, a teacher can make that difference. And Angel, you ask, how do you establish that? You tell them what your expectation is. I was very clear, and I always set my bar really high because kids will rise to whatever you expect them to do, even if your bar is at the ground level. So we always want to go for more, and I always expected more. And I had a lot of kids in 2 classes of like a special English class that they were lower achievers. A lot of them had big learning disabilities. And a lot of them came from families that didn't have a lot of money, and they would come in hungry. So, I mean, you show kids you care for them, not by words, but I would have little peaches, jars of peaches with spoons, and they'd come in, Miss Rittman, I was at my parents and they had a big argument and I didn't have dinner. And I would say, do you like some peaches? Yes, please, that kind of thing. Yeah. And just doing a little kindness. Another girl came in and she said, I know you called me in because my grades are so bad. She said, my mom and dad are having a custody dispute over me. So I'm at mom's on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, and dad's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And I don't know where any of my stuff is. She was sobbing. And I said, well, she said, and you're only allowed to give me 1 book. I said, yeah, except that I'm not going to follow the rules. I said, I'm going to give you another book, keep 1 at mom's, 1 at dad's. She said, but what about here? And I said, I'm going to put 1 at the edge of my desk underneath the Kleenex box. When you walk in and you're talking, just sort of casually reach down and pick it up. No one will know. And if they do, I'll say, none of your business. So you just have to listen to kids. I mean, that's really, Dan, Angel, we've all been in education. Everybody has a story and they all want to be listened to.
No doubt, Dede. Remember the old days when they used to say, don't smile before Christmas?
I never believed that.
Oh, that just so doesn't work today. I mean, I love it how me and you and Angel, how we make our students, feel like our kids, feel like our family. I carry extra granola bars in my little
great. That's great. Yes.
Stored under my desk. So when I know a kid's not eating, I throw them a granola bar, and they, it's awesome. I just love being able to.
I used to have animal crackers too.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And
food's a good thing. I always have extra food with me just in case, because when a kid's hungry, they just can't do well. Their mind is
absolutely. And then sometimes we had a really late lunch right before last period in the day. So when I had a class during 5th, 6th, or 7th, I would say, who has ate lunch? Hands went up, and I would say, you can't have peanut butter, but if you want to bring a quiet sandwich, I will not be mad if you want to eat your sandwich in our English class. And they were like, no one else allows us. And I said, then you don't have to tell anyone else. It's our secret. I love you and I want you to be comfortable. And Angel, I know you probably have 100 stories just like that too. But, when you love the kids, my husband got sick on December 9th, December 12th, 2009. And I didn't go back to school because he had a big surgery. I didn't go to school for those 2 weeks. One of the colleagues came by the day after Christmas with an entire shopping bag of cards from all my classes, which nobody organized. But they made cards for Scott to get well and cards for the 2 of us to try to have a Merry Christmas. I mean, you can't buy that, it has to come from their hearts, And then when I went back to school, sorry about this, they were so wonderful. And I said, kids, I've never had my cell phone on all the other time you've had me, but now I need to have my cell phone on my desk. I'm not going to pay any attention. But if Scott's sick, he's going to call me. They're like, okay, Miss Rittman, that's all right.
Yeah,
What a beautiful story.
It's very touching, Dede. And I know I've got a couple of those stories too, where I went out for a couple of operations and a couple family tragedies as well.
Right.
And I'm sure, Angel, I'm sure you've got them. Yourself, a lot of us have those stories. And it's so awesome that when we don't go by that philosophy of, don't let them see a smile before Christmas, and instead you build that family-like connection, that family-like atmosphere with your students, how they are there for you when you're down and out. There's no doubt about it. And I mean, we could talk about this all night long and the extracurricular activities and the benefits that our students and we get out of that. That's awesome stuff. And if you want to touch on that again, real quick, Dede, for like whatever benefits you think.
I do want to say one thing.
Like to go to the other things you're doing as an author, speaker, webinar, all that other stuff.
Well, I will say that not everybody is the kind of teacher that we are. I mean, I'm going to throw that out. Even people that are, in my age group.
Yep.
Some people decided not to do anything and they kept the kids at arm's length. And I will tell you that they were so unhappy at school. And they would say, oh, I can't wait till I retire. And I'd be like, oh, no, I don't want to retire. So there are those differences.
Yes.
But that's why, I'll go to my book, the student teaching book. That's why I'm so excited that I wrote this book. Because when I go to speak in colleges, I can share these kinds of things. And I do a presentation called the Dede's 3 C's for Classroom Success: Confidence, Communication, and Creativity. And I talk about how do we get confidence? Well, we get confidence by being prepared. I talk about becoming prepared. But the book talks about so many things. It's even about organizing yourself, organizing your students. And these are all things, as I said to Angel before, colleges don't teach this. They really don't. So it's 100 pages of common sense. And I always mention about it's really important for you to do something extra, because if you don't, you're not going to have a career. You're going to have a job, and nobody wants a job. Everybody wants a career that they can love. So, as I said, that book has won 8 awards. And then I did Grady Gets Glasses, and kids 2 to 8 or 9 like Grady. And I wrote this book because I had really thick glasses as a child. My clear vision is only 2 fingers right to here. But my parents didn't know I couldn't see. They just knew I was always in front of the TV. And I wore glasses till I was 45 and had laser vision correction. And my glasses were so thick. And my brothers, my friends used to laugh and say, why do you have to wear those? But I really couldn't see. So, and I always loved rabbits. My students actually gave me a rabbit for a gift for my birthday. Dede Rittman, we had her for 12 years. So of course it had to be a rabbit that wears the glasses. So I wrote it in verse, and I do 2 presentations, both virtually and in person. One is called Be an Author, and I go through basic vocabulary with the kids. It's all interactive, just the way I was always a teacher. If you agree, put your hand on your head. If you love Heinz ketchup from Pittsburgh with French fries, cut your chin. That kind of, and kids love that. They'll walk up in the middle of a presentation and hug my knees. And I don't know these kids, so it's very funny. But I do Be an Author, and then I have one for kindergartners called Bunnies Don't Bully, and Neither Should Kids. So it's geared toward what do we do when we see someone being bullied? What's that body language look like? We tell a caring adult and so on. So I do those, like I said, in person and virtually. And I work with streamableLearning.com and fieldtripzoom.com. And they have a wonderful selection. If you are a teacher in a district, get your district to buy into one of those or both of those. They offer things from the Louvre to authors. And you can have a field trip on anything and never have to leave your classroom. So it's really wonderful.
Yeah. I got to tell you, Dede, you're so impressive being the educator that you are and doing like those webinars and being a speaker and an author and going to the colleges. I'm sure you've benefited from that like I have in tremendous ways. And our students, have benefited from that indirectly because we've become much higher quality people. And I love what you said about the difference between a career versus just a job.
Right.
You think you could talk a little teeny bit more about that difference between a career and job and how you've benefited with all the extra you've done and maybe how your students have indirectly benefited?
Sure. Well, you already know I loved my career and I hated to leave it. You already know that. But there's something magical about teaching in a school district for 35 years. In fact, I was at the same building, the North Allegheny Intermediate High School, grades 9 and 10. But I really did, like a lot of the musicals, I had kids from grades K to 12. And for the golf team, that was grades 9 to 12. For the talent show, sometimes I had little brothers and sisters in. So I got to have the first kids in the 70s when I got there. Then I got their kids. And then I was there long enough that there were a few grandchildren that I had too. So very, very funny. But this just sums it up. I was at the Giant Eagle grocery store and I had 1 gallon of milk. And one of my former students, Dale, was there and he said, "Miss Rittman," he worked there, "do you only have 1 milk?" I said, "Yes, Dale, I do." And he said, "Please follow me." And he goes over and he opens the line for me. And all these people run over and he says, "I'm so sorry. This line is only open for Miss Rittman." I mean, talk about special treatment. I mean, you know, I have had people, this is so nice, who I've had their children and they've nominated me for so many awards. I have been the beneficiary of winning so many awards, even since I retired, because people say, "I remember what you did for me." And none of that would have happened, you know, if I hadn't really lived and walked the walk that I really believe. And it's the truth.
Yeah.
So having a career, it makes you be a staple to the community. If you can believe this, I just wrote a letter of recommendation for someone who is 50. And he has had jobs in the White House. He has had jobs, huge jobs. And I said, "Wait, why do you want me to write you a letter of recommendation? I had you in 10th grade English." And he said, "Because you still know me the best."
Wow.
I mean, and he's kept in touch all these years. When I retired, he came on my last day from out of state to bring me flowers, to come to my retirement party. I had a lot of former students at my retirement party. I mean, this tells you what it is, how it is all about relationships. For my first book, I created a company called Rittman Publishing LLC because, you know, I wanted to have an umbrella for all my stuff. My former student is my attorney. My former student is my accountant. And my former student is my illustrator for this book. So, I mean, it's like I said, it all comes back to those words. It's all about relationships.
Yep, no doubt.
Absolutely.
They better be good to their teacher because their teacher just may hire them, right? Right, Dede?
Right.
Let me ask you
it's
something.
so funny.
Dede.
It is so funny, but you know, I do miss having my own classroom. I will tell you, I still miss that. I loved going into school every day. I loved spending my time in the morning drive, thinking about what I was going to do and driving home and thinking about the things I did and who I needed to do something for. And I love serving others. I'm still doing it. So I guess that's my passion, teaching and serving others. And so I've been very lucky through my books to be able to continue.
Well, I'll tell you, Dede and Angie, you know what I love about what the three of us do is that, like, we're so, like, worldly in so many ways. Sometimes when you exist just within the four walls of an educational institution, you know, you can get kind of sterile. And,
oh, right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And you're not the same teacher when you're more worldly, when you're doing extra, right, Dede?
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I mean, you're very worldly in what you do. Yeah, I'm sure your students that down in Latin America, I'm sure that they benefit tremendously from your worldliness. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree.
Yep.
And that's important. I always told the kids, be a good listener too, because you're going to learn a lot if you listen to others. And, you know, I sit back and listen. You know, I had the radio show on the Total Education Network, and that was really all about listening to parents and questions and so on. So, I mean, I continue to learn. I am a lifelong learner, as I'm sure both of you are.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, yeah, we're learning all the time. Absolutely. Let me ask you something. You know, according to your experience, what would you say is the #1 blind spot that teachers today still carry with them?
The #1 blind spot. Boy, that's a wonderful question. Let me think for just a minute. I have to think that it's that they do not understand their power over a student. They do not understand that they are a role model every minute of every day. not just in that classroom. They are a role model when they go to the movies. They are a role model when they're at the swimming pool. They are a role model on the golf course. And I don't think they understand that. And this is going to, I knew some people that had a very cutting form of humor, and they hurt a lot of kids' feelings. And I think they don't realize that no matter if they're in first grade or if they're in 12th grade, kids still want to be loved. I mean, because of my bunny, with the kids giving me that pet rabbit, Binky Rittman, other kids brought in bunny stamps. I mean, these kids are in 10th grade. When they were taking a test, I would walk around and put bunny stamps on their hands. And it was like, you missed me, Miss Rittman, you missed me. And you have to make the kids feel like they're special and that you need them just as much as they need you. I think that reciprocity in that relationship is what made me so successful. I mean, I can remember getting my first iPhone. I walked in and I said, okay, at homeroom, I got an iPhone. I'm going to need help. And those kids were so delighted to teach me. And I said, I don't even know where you turn this on or off. I mean, and kids would say, Miss Rittman, I have study hall when you have study hall. Can I come in? I want to show you a few apps. I'd say, okay, I'd write a note. So sometimes it's good to let the kids be the teachers, you know?
Yes.
But I think, though, that some of the new teachers, this is just something I've observed of late. They have a prescribed curriculum and they don't really vacillate from it. And sometimes you need to talk about real life in the curriculum, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that you're cheating kids when you just stick to that curriculum and you don't ask for their opinion and their input. You know, for years, I did this lesson where I had kids be the teachers in just small groups. And it was a grammar lesson of like lie and lay, you know, and word pairs that were confused often. And, you know, it wasn't difficult, but I went over, this is how you write a lesson plan. I mean, they had to write a lesson plan. They had to make a worksheet. They had to make a little test of some sort. And then I did this big follow-up, and I got a lot of material for my book from this because kids said, you do this for us every day? This is so much work. They had 2 weeks to do it. And I said, I teach 3 things a day. So I have to do this for every class. And it was truly an eye-opener. So sometimes I think teachers, they like isolate themselves too much from their students. So the students don't really appreciate and understand what they're doing. On the other hand, I had kids and Angel, I had teachers in my school district that would be like, you have 4 hours of homework, you know, get real. They were unable to have empathy for the kids. And empathy is a huge part of being a teacher. I mean, I can remember a boy who lost his mother and father in the same school year, both unexpected. And he came in and he said, Miss Rittman, today's yearbook day and I don't have $40. And I said, well, here, let me give you a check. He said, I'll pay you back. And I said, okay. I mean, he wasn't even in my class. He was in my study hall, but I'd had his 7 brothers and sisters before him. There's that longevity thing coming into play again. You know, on the last day of school, he still owed me $15. He ran in after the bell rang, gave me the 15 and hugged me. And he said, you've been my mother this year.
Wow.
Wow.
So, you know, I just think that sometimes teachers, in their ability to try to control the class, you know, they do that thing like you said, Dan, no smiling, no personal. I found that by being personal and actually being myself, showing them that I cared, that's really why I had so much success.
You know, Dede, when you bring that up, I can't help but think of A Bronx Tale. That movie, it was a great movie, and they talk about Machiavelli in there, and you know, the ends justifies the means, and how it's more powerful to be fair than love. You know what I'm saying? But I was always like, no, that's wrong. It's way more powerful to be loved than fair, because here's the deal. When you're fair, yeah, you may get quicker results, and you may get people to snap to it and show what looks like respect to you. But it's really not respect, it's just fair. But the problem with that is once you leave the room or once you turn your back, those people will not continue to work for you
Right.
if they find a way not to. You know what I'm saying? But if you show
Right.
love and you operate out of love, like all three of us do here on the show today, when you turn your back, leave that room, you don't have to worry about those children or those people continuing to work. They will. They will continue to work. They will never try to sabotage you, shoot you in the back, or how the movie ends, The Bronx Tale, the movie ends, the son comes up and shoots them, you know, at the end of the movie.
Right.
You'll never have any of their offspring coming after you with damaging words or daggers or anything like that. You'll have them showing up, so, you know, can't wait to be in your class or in your program or whatever it is, because you're the one that treated their parents so well, so wonderful. So I never, ever, ever agreed with the whole Machiavelli thing and the whole fair is stronger than love. No, people, it's quicker. It's quicker, but it's not stronger. The love thing is way more enduring and will get you way better results. And I know, Dede, you've been doing that forever with your students and the people you work with after you left the classroom. And Angel, I know you're doing it down in Latin America with the kids you're working with.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just love to see more people going by that philosophy of love, because then you could turn your back, you could walk away, and things would just keep going fine.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I never felt like I couldn't trust a kid, even some of the worst kids. You know, I told you I had some challenging classes, and they were together for 4 core subjects. And when other teachers from the other subjects would walk into my class and see them all, we were all sitting pretty close together. And, you know, I was usually like in the middle. We were, you know, just chatting cordially, and we were doing a lesson. And these teachers would say, wow, in my class, I have a kid in the back and a kid 4 seats over. And I said, really, I've never had to do that. But it's all the way you treat them. It really is.
Yeah, and the family atmosphere you build, right, Dede?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I told the kids this was especially, well, not just theater, but in English, I would say, at the end of this semester and at the end of this year, you're going to feel like this is your family. And I cannot tell you how many of my former students became my colleagues, which is a great thing. And how many of my former students met in my 10th grade English class and married each other. I'm not kidding. I mean, one of the great things about Facebook is kids are finding me on Facebook and, you know, this person's married to this person. Remember, I met him in the musical you introduced me, you know?
Yeah.
It's so funny. It's really wonderful. And,
Yeah.
you know, I'm 66 now. I've never been this old. But I look back and there's nothing I would have changed except that Scott wouldn't have died, you know? But
Yeah.
I mean, my parents gave me a great work ethic, and they always taught the golden rule. And I really think that's what teaching is about. It's the golden rule, modeling it, teaching it, being
Yes,
it.
no doubt,
You know?
no doubt. So Dede, I know that like some teachers today, you know, they will go the extra mile to, let's say, do extracurricular, you know, do the theater, coach basketball, whatever it may be, student council, whatever it may be. But you and like, you know, me and you both, we went 2 extra miles when we became authors, speakers, you know, webinars, podcasts, radios, and that's like way more scarier for many people.
It is.
And what
It
if
is.
a young teacher or a young person, you know, came up to you and asked you about that today? Would you advise them, a young educator, to go that second extra mile, maybe write a book or give a speech or something like that?
I think I've already helped 10 people to publish their first books since I published mine.
Oh, that is amazing.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I still have former students who message me on Facebook and say, they still call me Mrs. Rittman. Can I take you to lunch? I want to pick your brain. I want to show you my book and so on. I mean, I'm still doing it. So nothing has changed. My life is the same, except I don't go to school every day, you know. It's
That's
good.
wonderful.
I mean, this puts you in the arena, and it's a different thing because I'm not protected by the big school district. This is just me out there. And, you know, I'm not selling my books. I'm selling who I am because my books are me. They are me. And I'm doing the best I can. And, you know, I do a lot on Twitter, do a lot on Facebook and all that. And I'm just working really hard every day, but I do enjoy it. At the end, I enjoy seeing your successes so much. I'm really proud of you, my friend.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Absolutely, we all are. Let me ask you a personal question, Dede. When was that moment when you were like a little bit younger, when you still had not decided your career path in your life? What was that thing that triggered you to be who you eventually became?
You know, I was always good at school. And when I was in 10th grade, I had a teacher for world cultures who was having some physical problems and illness. And she would see me in the morning and say, Dede, did you do your current event? I'd say, of course I did. And she'd say, did you read the assignment? Yes, I did. She said, would you mind reviewing the assignment today? She was so sick. And so she would just sit at her desk and I would conduct the class as a 10th grader. How about that?
Wow.
And that's why I taught world cultures for the whole year in 10th grade because she was so sick.
Wow.
So isn't that funny? So she passed away just about 3 months ago. She was almost 100 years old. And among her things was my senior picture and a couple notes from me. And I know her granddaughters and they saved them and sent them to me.
Oh, so
Isn't that nice?
Yes. So nice. Yeah.
And you know, Angel, something that might work for you and Dan, you as well. We, at the end of the school year, I always did a teacher appreciation thing. And I made really funny stationery because this was before computers with like a strong man and then the words, thank you, you know, written in something bold and other silly clowns with balloons that said, thank you. So I would do my whole lesson about, okay, friends, you know, when you're a teacher, you have no finished product. The kids would say, what do you mean? I would say, okay, if I'm an architect and a contractor, I can say, I built that house. Oh, and if I'm a doctor, I can say, you are cured. And if I'm a writer, I can say, here is my published book. But when you are a teacher, your kids are really works in progress. And I said, it's really hard to not have a finished product. So here's something you can do. And then I would say, put some keywords on, appreciate, you know, and so on. I would say, I want you to think about who made a difference for you this year. And I would say, this is not about me. Who made a difference for you this year or any other year? And I want you to write some thank you notes and I will help you. Or I had kids who needed lines, you know, and these didn't have lines. So I would walk around and kids would say, anyone at all. So the custodian, the principal, the guidance counselor, the elementary teachers, the elementary librarian, they would, and I would say, you may write as many as you want. I am counting this as points just because I want you to do at least one. But kids would come in during that school day. Ms. Rittman, can I have more stationery? Sure. The next day they'd come in the morning. Can I have more stationery? And then I would collect them all. They would have to just fold it in half and put the person's name on the outside. And I would divide them all up and send them in inter school mail and put them in the teacher mailboxes. And even though I told those kids, this is not for me, I always got 100, you know. Yes. So I have boxes and boxes of these notes. Yeah. And when I feel down, I read those. Yeah. You know, even when I was still teaching, if I had a bad day, I would read a few because everyone needs to know they make a difference. And I would tell the kids, you make a difference to me. And, you know, when they did something well, I would tell them. I had a lot of boys who would make Eagle Scout in 10th grade. So I typed up this really cool list of all these famous people that were Eagle Scouts. And then I would ask them what the date was, where they were, and I would put their name in and I would email it to their parents so their parents could print it off on nice paper and frame it for them. They would know it was from me. So you just have to get that little extra space.
Those are wonderful activities, Dede. I know I've got a few of those letters myself from teachers that have done that. So
well, you know how you feel when you get those. Angel, I'm sure you do too.
Yeah, I know, Angel, we got to start wrapping this up.
Exactly. We have to wrap it up. Exactly. Okay. So before we go, you know, I would definitely like, I mean, you've already gave us some tips about it, some hints, but where can we find you?
On Twitter, I'm at Dede Rittman.
And you spell Rittman?
Rittman.
Okay.
Dede Rittman. My books are at DedeRittman.com and at GradyGetsGlasses.com. And I'm on LinkedIn at Dede Rittman. And if you just Google my name, you're going to find me. I have a lot of stuff out there.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I had a wonderful time.
Oh, yeah.
Look, there's a kiss.
So much wisdom. Oh, there's a kiss. Cool. Thank you. And then where can we find you?
Just like Dede, if you Google me, my name's all over the place. Dan Blanchard, author, speaker, educator, all over. Or danblanchard.net, granddaddySecrets.com. You'll find me on all the social media, Amazon. Check out my book, The Storm. Thank you, Angel.
My books are on Amazon too, Angel.
Oh, perfect. So thank you very much. Thank you both of you. Amazing guests today again. Dan, amazing. Thank you so much. Dede, you will be always in our memories. Absolutely all your stories
Well,
have
I've got
have
a
hit
million
home.
more, Angel, if
I
you
know.
need
I'm sure you do. Thank you very much. So again, this is Angel Ribo with Mindalia TV. Thank you very much, everybody that has been with us today. I hope that you have enjoyed our conversation as much as we have here. We really appreciate you being here with us. I hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.